out. And I just want to welcome everybody to Beyond Words, Mental Health in AAC, in the AAC community with Stephanie Fassov. And my name is Stephanie Olson. I'll be formally known as Steffi Joe. And then we've got Steffi F or Stephanie. And we have also Josie Randalls. Josie and I are both LAMP trainers for the Center for AAC and Autism, and we'll be your hosts tonight. Those of you who are attending live know that this is being recorded, and the recording will be put on our YouTube channel. We have time today for you to ask questions, and to keep things clear, because the chat gets a little muddy, if you have a question for Stephanie, please go to the Q&A and put your question there. And when she's completed her presentation, we'll go through and moderate those questions and get those to her so she has a chance to answer them. And those of you who are attending live, Zoom will send you an automated email, and it happens exactly 24 hours when this training ends. So if you're looking for your certificate tomorrow morning, it won't be there. It will be there in 24 hours from the end of this evening, and you should get an email. And I am going to stop my share and turn it over to Josie to formally introduce Stephanie.
All right, well, it is definitely my pleasure to introduce my friend, Stephanie Fassov, to all of you. She's going to share with us today about her lived experience as an AAC communicator and just some of her thoughts on mental health support for this community. So in this line of work, I often get to meet AAC communicators at various conferences or in trainings like this. But I happened to meet Steph by chance, just walking into a store with my aunt and my sister in Northern California. And because I am the type of certified yapper that will just walk up to a stranger and start a conversation because we clearly have a common interest. So I basically revealed my age to Stephanie by asking her if she wanted to be pen pals with me. And we started exchanging emails and have been in touch over the last 8 or so years. So I've gotten to know a lot about Steph, and I'll give you some of her highlights, from her professional bio, but she is a passionate advocate for both herself and others, spoken at numerous local and national conferences about a variety of topics. Stephanie earned both her bachelor's and master's degree in communication studies at San Jose State University, where her master's degree focused on individuals with significant mobility and communicative differences in their autonomy, independence, and sense of self. Steph has previously served as a court-appointed special advocate for a teen with complex support needs. She's participated in research advisory committee on healthcare inclusion for individuals with differing support needs. She volunteered for many years in a classroom to support students with communication support needs and other developmental needs. She provides support to others as a peer counselor, and her aim there is to be kind of solution-focused, strength-based, and goal-oriented as she shares coping strategies and skills. Steph is currently pursuing a second master's degree, because of course she is, in mental health counseling with the goal of becoming a marriage and family therapist. Steph lives in Northern California with her wife and young child. She is a confessed coffee addict and manages to balance her occasional snark and sarcasm with grace and good humor and an incredible sense of optimism. I am grateful to call her my friend, and I am very glad to have the opportunity to introduce her to all of you. And as Steffi Joe shared, we will have time for your questions. So think of those and put them in that Q&A. And yeah, thanks for being here. Spending part of your afternoon or morning for you Australians with us.
And before we get started with Stephanie's formal presentation, I have a couple of polls for you. And let me launch a poll so that we all, I've never done this before, so hopefully it'll work. Hopefully y'all are seeing a poll. And I'm going to give you just about 30 seconds. Oh, this is nice. I can see how many people we have and how many people have responded. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Gosh, are we going to get 100%?
We're learning new things.
Yeah. And then, okay, questions are kind of slowing down here. We got 86%. I'm going to end this poll and share the results. Is everybody able to see the results now? All of our fellow therapists in the house, AAC users. I'm so glad we have some families and AAC users in the room. Excellent. Okay. Now I have another poll. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, poll result. Oh, how do I do this? Hold on. Okay. We may only get one poll. Poll result. How do I stop sharing? I'm learning. Okay, here's a new question for you. How often do you think about the mental health challenges faced by AAC users? I know when I was coming up with these questions, I know as a therapist, and a mom, I'm kind of tuned into the mental health needs of caregivers, and thinking about this from a different perspective is definitely expanding my awareness. All right, we're gonna close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Share the results. So frequently and occasionally is almost 100%. So absolutely. And you're here, so it is on your mind. This is an important topic for you, obviously. Okay, so let me ask this question. Do you think AAC users have enough access to mental health resources? Stephanie, there is a need for you. Absolute need for what you're doing, my friend. If I end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So you're reporting 82% of you answered no. That's huge, huge percentage. Wonderful. Thank you for that information. And my last question, last poll. What do you think is the biggest barrier to social connection for AAC users? So I don't know about you guys, but what I see as challenge in the field that I work in is helping AAC communicators make meaningful connections with the world around them. That is a big barrier. So we're almost at 80% answers. And we'll wrap it up here in just a moment. And okay. So we're saying the largest barrier is people's assumptions about AAC users. And then second would be limited opportunities to engage with peers. Should have had all, but lack of accessible communication supports, social anxiety. You're right, I crafted that question poorly. If you could have answered all of the above, I imagine that would have been 100%. So yeah, that was poorly asked question, but we got some good information from it. So Stephanie, the floor is all yours. I'm going to mute myself, and please use the chat, use the Q&A to start popping your questions in. And it's all yours.
Hello, everybody. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Fassov, but my preferred name is Steph. I am so passionate about mental health that I'm earning my second master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. I aim to become a mental health counselor and marriage and family therapist for those in marginalized communities, such as the AAC communicators. Today, I am going to discuss AAC communicators, mental health, specifically the unique challenges that we face, minority stress, and the significant effects on us in our mental health. I think we can agree on assistive technology. For example, AAC empowers us to live our best lives. Although AAC can definitely contribute to our quality of life, we often deal with this broken world that does not fully understand or include us. We may wrestle with ableism quite frequently. Some of us do not know what ableism is. Ableism can be described as the oppression against people with differing abilities. It can be discrimination, prejudice, and prejudgments toward people who have differing abilities because the social location of disabled individuals is not in the privileged group. Ableism is similar to other oppressions, such as racism, sexism, ageism, and homophobia, where ableism has differing ways to be expressed. The ways would be considered ideas, expectations, overgeneralizations, attitudes, practices, environmental barriers, inaccessibility, microaggressions, and /or behavior. Ableism can be bold or subtle, intentional or unintentional, and direct or indirect. So, ableism can lead us to have a huge amount of minority stress. Minority stress is an ongoing psychological anxiety or depression that stems from ableism. For us, minority stress comes from the extra societal pressure and stress that individuals from marginalized groups feel since they are treated differently. Then, minority stress can create and reinforce our mental health issues and physical health conditions. Basically, ableism can lead minority stress, and minority stress may create mental and physical health challenges. I'll give some AAC communicators a personal example. I feel vulnerable to tell some AAC communicators all about this example of my personal minority stress and how it influenced my complex mental health needs. Those who are in a manual wheelchair have limited freedom on where to go, but whoever pushes their wheelchair has the freedom for the manual wheelchair users to go wherever. It places the freedom from the wheelchair users to whoever pushes the wheelchairs, as if they quote cart around the wheelchairs, like one pushes a shopping cart of items at a store. If there is a conflict between the wheelchair users and whoever pushes the wheelchair pusher have the power over the wheelchair user on where they are going in attempt to control the behavior of the wheelchair user. It had happened to me where my wheelchair was being pushed angrily and forcefully to wherever the person wanted to gain control over me. Whenever that happened, I did not feel like a human even, but instead I felt like an object to be carted around. This example of the objectification comes from a belief of people with complex physical and communicative differing abilities are less than, which stems from ableism. This situation caused me to have minority stress, believing that I am not a complete human. Such belief created and reinforced my complex mental health needs, exacerbating my bipolar and complex trauma issues. So I could not cope healthily at this minority stress of being objectified. I coped by having anger issues toward that person and addictive tendencies. Thankfully, I found healing in participating in mental health therapy and anchoring myself to my values, such as my faith. Now I use my complex mental health conditions, complex trauma and bipolar, as my strength to connect and to feel confident with helping others. My story is common among AAC communicators. Many of us experience so much minority stress that some of us have mental health challenges. Minority stress that AAC communicators face with usually derives from discrimination, not accessible environments, and assumptions about us, which feeds our anxiety, depression, or overall psychological discomfort. I'm not talking about anxiety and depression as official mental health conditions, but what I'm talking about is anxiety and depression as a part of a human experience. One of the common signs of depression that we experience is feeling lonely, which leads us to feeling isolated. Many people think communicating on AAC systems automatically is isolating them. However, it is so much more complex than that, involving minority stress. We humans are significantly more complicated than believing that we AAC communicators automatically make us being isolated without considering the minority stress and societal expectations for us. So, how do we combat this minority stress so that we would have less anxiety and depression? I believe confidence and connectedness are critical to fight the minority stress in our mental health. I am going to discuss confidence first. The first step of becoming confident is working on our values. Values are what is important to us and what we want to make priorities in our lives. For example, my values are my faith, independence, committed and monogamous marriage, parenting, autonomy, and my health. AAC communicators might not think of our values because we're in survival mode from real life, dealing with ableism and handling minority stress. Finding our personal values and anchoring ourselves to them sounds too much work, but finding values that meet our personal lives is essential to fight minority stress. Living our value-based lives will help us with gaining confidence and a healthy sense of self, so that we will be more equipped to deal with our minority stress and its effects on our mental health. It is such a chain reaction. For example, once I found my personal values, including my faith, autonomy, my physical and mental health, and independence, committed and monogamous marriage, and started embracing them, I had more control over my bipolar, complex trauma issues, and addictive tendencies. Some AAC communicators might not have my mental health issues, but some AAC communicators may experience perfectionism, over shopping, controlling, anxiety, depression, or anger. Hope some AAC communicators find their personal values and live in their own value-based life, so that some AAC communicators can gain confidence to fight against minority stress. The second step to develop confidence to address our minority stresses, we can radically accept ourselves even when we feel disappointed in ableism. Radical acceptance means acknowledge the pain without suffering, accepting the facts of reality with having no emotional meltdowns, and realizing the painful reality is just the reality. When we believe it is what it is, we practice radical acceptance. This concept empowers us to do what we can control while letting go of what we cannot control. We can say to ourselves, I notice my brain is having a thought that I hate nasty assumptions that the world says about people who communicate differently. This skill creates a distance from our thoughts. It's sort of like we can take a step back from our intense thoughts. A significant amount of radical acceptance conveys we cannot change the past. It is waste of the time to fight what's already happened, as the present is the only moment we have control over. Every time we feel sad or guilty or ashamed about anything, we must anchor ourselves in the here and now by observing and describing non-judgmentally our surroundings. Being in the here and now can equip us to do extraordinary things, which builds confidence. The more confidence we have, the more strength we can have to fight minority stress. Next, I am going to talk about how to connect with others so that we can fight with and overcome our minority stress. Having mental health issues such as anxiety and depression want us to be isolated rather than be connected to others. Minority stress and deal with ableism just add another layer to not wanting us to connect with people. So, how can we say yes to connections with others while say no to isolation? I think empathy is a key ingredient of connection, not finding a new group of people to hang with, nor are we forcing ourselves to be more extrovert than we actually are. Most people who feel lonely have so many individuals in their life, so it's not a problem. But the issue is, we need to practice empathy in our relationships. What in the world does empathy mean? According to one of the most fancy pants researchers, Brene Brown, empathy means perspective taking of others, which creates and reinforces connections, as opposed to sympathy that cultivates disconnections. Aside from empathy means perspective taking, it is also being non-judgmental, acknowledging and respecting others' emotional experiences, and communicating those emotions to them. It's so difficult to practice, though, especially the communicating about the other's emotions to them part. Since not able to communicate others' emotions is a part of being neurodivergent, it looked different to some AAC communicators. And some AAC communicators have a limited amount of vocabulary on AAC communicators' AAC systems, so it is hard to convey others' emotions. But we could move forward, saying that I think some AAC communicators feel good, or I think some AAC communicators feel bad. It's okay not to say specific emotion, as our job is to acknowledge, respect, and communicate others' experiences, rather than be specific vary with their emotions, just like what mental health counselors would do. Another thing that we could do is to say, I can't imagine how some AAC communicators feel, but I'm here for them. This is an empowering statement that expresses so much empathy. Another significant part of empathy is to be with people's emotions and daily lives, as it shapes and maintains connections with them. Empathy says, I know you're going through tough times. I know how it feels. Empathy is not silver lining others' difficult times, which would reinforce disconnections. Instead, empathy is feeling with individuals. We could say something like, I appreciate that some AAC communicators feel comfortable enough to share this with me. I would argue that empathy automatically creates relationships with people. Connections with others equip us to overcome our minority stress. Overcoming our minority stress may reduce anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. Decreasing mental health issues can equip us to connect with others. It's a cycle of developing empathy, empowering connections, reducing minority stress, decreasing mental health issues, and then developing connections. Today we discussed about ableism leads us to have minority stress, and minority stress can create and reinforce mental health issues. To fight against minority stress, we need to embrace confidence and connectedness. We have a choice between dwelling our minority stress and mental health issues, or cultivating confidence and connectedness. Which one will you help these AAC communicators choose?
Could we just listen to that one more time? Because you had so many pearls of wisdom that I don't have my notebook where I normally take notes. I'm like, I'm so glad we recorded this because I'm going to have to go back and listen to it again to digest everything that you just said. And that's I don't know if you can see the chat window, Steph. You're getting that affirmation from those in the chat. I couldn't write notes fast enough. So much amazing information. Thank you so much. Very powerful. I agree. Wow, indeed. So many things to remember. Thank you. Totally agree. So inspirational. Thank you. Thank you so much, Steph. I appreciate you sharing your brilliance and perspective with us, confidence and connectedness. Thank you, Stephanie. It was so powerful. Incredible information. I was taking notes, but very glad it has been recorded. Okay. Let me see what we have. Oh, question about the certificate. Okay, I want to open up question and answer time now. And also, while you're formulating some questions for Steph, I do want to point out that Stephanie used her accent device, and it's just like if I or Josie did a LAMP presentation, we prepare ahead of time and spend a lot of time composing what we're going to say. And that's exactly what Steph did to prepare for this evening. So when we ask questions, there is a period of time as we give Steph time to get her answers generated. So yes, question, you're going to get a copy of the recording. So like I mentioned earlier, you will get an email with a link to your certificate and a link to the recording. The certificate is a link in an email. So if you read whatever email you registered for the training with, you'll get that. All right. So a question for you, Steph, from Brianna Hoff. She says, thank you. Do you have suggestions for tools to help explore and determine our personal values? Wondering if there may be some that are appropriate for elementary age students.
Good. Question. What? People usually do. To find their personal values is to have hard a hearts that they says B A S basic value values put hard cards into to P I L E S piles. Yes. P I L pile and no P I L E pile. You can Google value. Card. Cards. There are so many S I T E S sites that has those cards. Good question. What people usually do to find their personal values is to have cards that says basic values. Put cards into two piles, yes pile and no pile. You can Google value cards. There are so many sites that have those cards.
Steph, I was also going to shout out, you mentioned your favorite fancy pants researcher, Brene Brown, who's also one of mine in her Dare to Lead stuff. She has a tool for that too, for like coming, like there's a whole list and you can kind of narrow down. So there's like, I think, like you said, doing a Google search for kind of determining values, that seems like a great jumping off point. But I know, yeah, one of the folks you already
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
Kind of unmute myself. I'm going to take a question out of order, but I want to jump in with this question from another AAC user and disability advocate. So new to, if not already a friend of yours, I think you guys got to connect here. Alma is asking, hoping to enter the mental health field and would love to know from your presentation, what would you say is the most important strategy that clinicians and mental health professionals can practice to create a supportive and affirming environment for their clients who use AAC?
Another good question. I think having patience is the key. There. I had. So many therapists who had no patience. As one of my past therapists took a personal call during my session. So she are gross. Anyway, patience is so critical. Another good question. I think having patience is the key. I had so many therapists who had no patience, as one of my past therapists took a personal call during my session. So gross. Anyway, patience is so critical. Another good question. I think having patience is the key. I had so many therapists who had no patience, as one of my past therapists took a personal call during my session. So gross. Anyway, patience is so critical.
Okay, that's an ouch, embarrassing moment.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the comment in the chat is I hope you fired her. I think that's a fireable offense.
Yes.
So Steph, I have a question for you, and I know, and then I'll let Steph Olson grab the next question she wants to take from the chat. But I know we shared your website in the chat here, and are you open to like doing consultations with folks if they want to contact you and spend some time with you, like to answer some questions? I know, is that something that's available like for parents or therapists or?
Yes. Of course. Yes, of course.
Okay, because I mean, we're going to try to get through what we can today. I know we're going to run short of time, and I think there are questions here that are big questions that people are asking that I think might lend themselves to just more, time and maybe more personalized attention than we're going to have available for today. So just I'll share that again in the chat, your website. Did you do it, Steph? Yeah. So if you want to reach out directly, to Steph and ask those questions and set up some time with her. And then, as I mean, I'm forever an advocate for people getting paid for their time and skills. So thank you for sharing this with us today for free. But I think, it's a great opportunity for you to, follow up with some folks later. So.
I was even having the thought I might, before we end the call, try to grab all the questions that we didn't get to.
Yes. Yeah.
And maybe I can email them to you, Steph. And if you have responses, we might even be able to put them into the description under the YouTube video. I don't know. We can play around with that.
Yeah.
Depends on how much time you have to allocate. Okay. Here's another question for you. And I apologize if we don't get to your question. But this is from Donna. She says, my son is a speller to communicate. He has been doing that since age 4. He's 28. He is autistic and has intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, and visual impairments. He reads and writes well. He currently uses Proloquo for text on an iPad, but he will use any text-to-speech programs. He has been met with less than opening arms, especially with autistic peers, because of the wait time it takes him to communicate. And AAC users who have physical challenges get annoyed with autistic uniqueness, and neurotypical don't get him any suggestions.
First, I want everyone to be friends with each other. My optimistic part of me says that first, I want everyone to be friends with each other. My optimistic part of me says that. Second, maybe he can try just AAC communicator. Communicators. Group. Even. Virtual. Gathering. Gatherings. Like the no. And nonprofit. Impact voices. Where I work. First, I want everyone to be friends with each other. My optimistic part of me says that. Second, maybe he can try just the AAC communicators group, even virtual gatherings, like the nonprofit Impact Voices, where I work.
So I saw Stephanie Olson put that in the chat. So Impact Voices, if you're not familiar with that organization, they host monthly hangouts for AAC communicators online. And Stephanie presents with them. Lance McElmore, for those of you who've ever been to a LAMP training, he's on the board of that organization, and that's a kind of a for us, by us, led by AAC communicators organization. Yeah, there's a couple of notes in the chat of other organizations. If you look up Out and About in your area, there's sometimes an Out and About group for like experiences, also for social kind of get-togethers and outings in the community. I know we have a pretty active group here in Phoenix where I'm at, so that's something also to kind of to check out. I had the opportunity to go to the Impact Voices conference live this last year. Steph was a virtual presenter at that, but that was just really cool to be. It was certainly the most AAC communicators I had ever been in a room with at the same time, and that was really a cool experience. So, yeah.
Well, I think we have time for one more question. I'm going to leave you with that honor, Josie, because I'm bad at choosing.
I have to do the like pull. I feel like I just should pick a number here. This is a tough one. Oh my gosh. First of all, these are all very powerful questions. And I think I'm gonna go with one because when it popped up, it really kind of struck me. And I feel like we've had some conversations about this particular thing, Steph. So the question is for an advice for an elementary aged AAC user who hesitates to advocate for herself because she's worried that she'll make adults mad.
Good. Question. I've been S T F R U struggling with this issue. All my the or life I am the U L T ultimate people pleasing. Good question. I've been struggling with this issue for all my life. I am the ultimate people pleasing. So I don't have a perfect answer. But I want to share where E X E O R / exposure R is one of the most powerful but toughest skill skills we must do, especially with people pleasing. People individuals like me Good question. I've been struggling with this issue for all my life. I am the ultimate people pleasing. So I don't have a perfect answer, but I want to share exposure is one of the most powerful but toughest skills we must do, especially with people pleasing individuals like me.
Well, Stephanie, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for your time and your wisdom and your just deep well of knowledge. It's been so enlightening to listen to you speak tonight. And I don't know if you're open to this, but I've got about 20 questions, like the most profound questions from the audience. Um, I'll email those to you, and maybe we have to have a follow-up where you just go through and answer all the emails, or and we'll record that and add that as a part 2 or something, because everybody's really eager to, the questions, and what's really unique is that they're all different. There's so you just have a great, you're so needed. You're so needed. And there's so many people who desire your help and your wisdom to navigate the challenges that they themselves are facing or as caregivers are facing. I'm seeing in the message, the chat, everybody's saying thank you so much. Just so many thank yous coming your way. I hope you can feel that, and I'll make sure to save the chat so you can go back and read all this. I'll follow up with an email. Josie, I thank you for introducing Stephanie, introducing us and suggesting this as a topic. I'm so glad you guys became friends in the store.
Me too. Yeah. It's fun to see you in a professional aspect, Steph, not just fun friend chats. Yeah.
For the P O P P opportunity. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, it's been enlightening and delightful. So I want to thank everybody for coming and for your great participation and questions. And until next time, hope everybody has a great time whenever you're watching this. Good day.